Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I feel a lot better today. I feel like the energy was intense for Aries and Taurus, and then you are coming in with this much more light-hearted, kind of playful energy. It's not that you don't have this kind of like darker aspect to you. I'm kind of getting like both the light and the dark coming through because you are Gemini, of course. But it's like whatever you're doing it in a fun way, right? It's like you're doing it with a smile on your face. It's like you're enjoying yourself is the way it's coming through. I'll kind of get into it a little bit more. It's again, you've got some darker topics coming through intuitively, but you feel I'll have to explain it in more detail. Right, okay, so what I'm seeing here with the cards, the Lovers card with the Magician, you see how these two lovers are trying to come together, but there's this like mountain in the way. It's like, now it doesn't have to be you and a significant other. It could be something that you're trying to accomplish, something that you're trying to do, but you feel like there's an obstacle, but it's like, it's going to come together. Like it's like the divine is helping you. Now the way that I'm seeing this, if I show you, because these are your two cards, Gemini, so I was kind of like focusing on these to kind of get into your energy, and of course the Lovers card, with it being Gemini and energy, represents both sides of yourself along with your own kind of higher self, your own spiritual your soul, right? Your oversoul, however you want to call it. But the way I'm seeing it is it's like this ta-da moment where it's like, how can we possibly make this happen, right? Again, it could be trying to get together with somebody. It doesn't have to be romantic, but it could be a friend, could be like, I don't know, trying to like get together to meet family or something like that. But there's like, I had something like this myself. I was trying to get to Llandudno to spread my nana's ashes, and I booked the hotel, and I checked as I was booking the hotel, I checked to make sure that there was no train strikes either side of the day that I was kind of going, and even though I checked this, when I went to book the return ticket, there was something going on where they had a limited service on the trains coming back, so then I had to like move the hotel to a different day, and it was just this like strategic nightmare. It's like, don't try and do anything while Mercury's in retrograde, right? But it's like you're ruled by Mercury as well, Gemini. This is kind of why I'm saying this. So Mercury has been in retrograde, which does upset things like travel, communication, anything like, you know, like passports, that kind of thing, anything that's kind of like visas, passports, anything like that. You know, there could have been delays and things. But now that Mercury's going forward again in the sky, it's like those kind of problems won't be as apparent. It'll be easier to travel, it'll be easier to get documents, it'll be easier to communicate. All these different things will be better now that Mercury is going forwards. In, you know, for everybody, this affects everybody. We all have a Mercury placement. You are ruled by Mercury though, Gemini, so again, you could have been affected by this more than others. So if you've been running into obstacles, if you've been running into problems like delays, problems with transportation, documentation, anything like this, it's like it's just going to magically all come together. Because the way I'm seeing it is, it's almost like, do you see how these people are dressed in white, and then he's kind of got this kind of reddish brown cloak and wings? It's like all of a sudden it's like the wings fold in, and these two people are brought together, and it's like all incorporated into one. So if you felt like there's been like separate kind of things at play, you know, like again, it could be like, you know, maybe you and family, right? But you're all in different parts of the world. It's like you're all in 3 different groups around the world, but it's like you all suddenly come together. It's something like that. Or, you know, if you are doing some kind of project and it's like it's all in big, like 3 big pieces. I'm also seeing how like it's kind of off to the side of the screen, but just here I've got 3 piles of this tea leaf deck. It's like the whole has been split into 3, but it's like it's gonna be, it's like I'm almost getting this kind of like whoosh, like it's like all of a sudden, like everything is like, I'm hearing everything's coming up roses, because he's got like roses on the card. So yeah, it's almost like a magic trick, but it's like a magic trick by either you or spirit. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, you know, you didn't see how it would happen, and then all of a sudden it's like it's already done for you, that kind of thing. And you do have the tools that you need to kind of like manifest whatever you want. Now what's come out for you here is the Queen and the Caretaker. Now this is my own kind of deck that I've kind of been messing with over the weekend, where I've kind of taken a lot of the visuals that I commonly get when I'm meditating and kind of put them into cards. So the Queen is kind of like the Ace of Pentacles, but it could be some kind of symbol of some kind of transaction, or some kind of, for me personally, in my readings. So at the moment it's coming through like as a transaction or something of value that's passing hands. So again, it could be some kind of inheritance, for example. It could be something of value like a passport or a visa, or it's like, it could be a job contract. So it's something that's like of value, and it's it could be a symbol of authority as well, if you think about how coins are stamped with what will now be the king's head, because like they've announced they've announced the portrait of King Charles that they're going to be using on the coinage. So it's like, it's a symbol of both, a symbol of something authoritative. So like a passport will have a picture of like the crown on, or whatever you have on your own passports if you're not from the UK. It's something that's symbolic of power or influence in some sort of way. Like money, right, is symbolic of power and influence. The caretaker is like a guard or a custodian for me. So it's like somebody who protects something. So if it came out with like the princess, would be, you know, the people who tend to the princess, the people who guard her, the people who tend to her and make sure she's okay. But here it's kind of like more like a custodian energy of money. So it could be like somebody who protects the treasury, like the money guy at work or something like that. Or it could be that you're protecting your own money or bank account. I'm seeing now in the UK we have a bank called the NatWest, and when I was a little girl, and now I'm getting that song by Gwen Stefani, when I was it, no, it's not Gwen Stefani, it's she has a song like that as well, it's Tina Turner, when I was a little girl I had a rag doll, but it's, I feel like that came out for somebody else this week. But the NatWest, they had this thing with a children's savings account where when you reached a certain amount of money, so it was like when you saved £50 and then £250 and then £500 or whatever the amounts were, you got these little pottery pigs. So, and it was these pottery pigs were there was 5 of them, I think. There was like, was it like Woody was the baby pig, and then like Hillary, and I'm trying to remember the names because I had them, and I had all 5 as well. And then they were actually these pigs were the like piggy banks, right? You put your money, you put your savings in them, little piggy banks. But they were like inspired by, it sounds a bit rude actually, but they were inspired by the NatWest family, right? The people who owned the bank. So Sir Nathaniel was the like dad pig, Sir Nathaniel. I feel like that was a thing. So anything that I'm saying could be symbolic to you. These could be like names of people in your family. You know, it could be, I don't know how it plays out, but if it's resonating for you in any sort of way, take it how it applies to you. Because what they get me to do, my guides, they get me to say things and I don't know what I'm saying, but it always applies to somebody in like a way that I don't expect. So take anything that's kind of popping out to you from what I'm saying. It may not be specifically in the NatWest pigs, but pigs could be symbolic for you. Somebody could be called Nathaniel, Woody, or Hillary. Yeah, but it's making me think of that. It's like these like pottery pigs, right? They would protect your money. You'd put your money inside them in like a savings account. So it could be a savings account or a bank, right? Take it as it resonates. Leave it if it doesn't. My other phone's going, so sorry if you can hear that in the background. Right, okay, some symbolism that I kind of got through. I got through the twisted tree again, so 2 tree trunks kind of wrapping around each other, which can talk about combining families. It can talk about DNA and things like this. Like 2 families coming together, right? Sausages. I don't know, take it as it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. I saw like cooked sausages. I had a dream about, because I get cruise ships a lot, especially around kind of Emperor or Aries energy. It's kind of been coming through actually for a lot of signs, this kind of ship. So whatever this ship is symbolizing, I saw like a full-on cruise ship, like a massive kind of Titanic-sized cruise ship, and all of a sudden it was upside down. It was like something had, you know that thing that they say about like a fulcrum, give me a fulcrum big enough and I could like whatever, I can't remember the quote, but it's like like just a wave or something, and it's like really easily turn this cruise ship upside down. So again, it could be looking at something, if you've got something, if the ship symbolizes perhaps your home life or your workplace, or like if you think of a big ship, it's like, or a project, it's like look at it from a different angle. It's actually, it could be easier to turn something around than you think. I also saw, if you're getting off something like a ship or a plane, and they have to do like an emergency landing, they have those kind of like those blow up slides. So I saw like one of those. It was like I was coming down a blow up slide basically, but it wasn't scary. But everybody was kind of, it wasn't like it was like a disaster. It wasn't like everybody was panicking, but everybody was kind of like preoccupied. So I was put in this position of this lady who she dropped her wool. She like dropped her knitting. And then she was a little bit flustered and a little bit odd. And people weren't paying attention to her, but what had actually happened to her was, because she'd come down this slide, she'd gone into premature labour, and she did have her baby. And again, I don't know why I'm getting this. So it could be symbolic, it could be something that happened to somebody, so take it as it resonates, leave it if it didn't. But she was kind of saying, like, trying to get help, and no one was really helping because they weren't really paying attention. But the baby was born, and it was initially in the kind of amniotic fluid. It was in the sac, but it opened, and the baby was okay. It actually sat up and waved. So I don't know, again, it's probably symbolic for, something that's been birthed, something that's new, perhaps something that has been, it's making me think of like, GTA 5, where, is it GTA 5 or GTA 6? GTA 6 it'll be, won't it? Where they leaked that really early footage of the game in development. It's like, it was not intended to be seen that early, something like that. But it's like, it worked out okay. The baby was like waving, like it was fine, but no one was paying attention. So I don't know what that is, but it could be something for somebody. I heard don't walk before you can run. Now this came through with me trying to light my joss stick, and I was trying to light the match, but if you've ever tried to light a match and it's not lighting, have you ever pressed too hard and it snapped? Now that didn't happen to me. I was careful about the pressure that I was using to light this match, and I kind of flipped it over. Again, this idea of flipping something over or looking at something from the other side. And I did light the match successfully, but then I kind of lit a candle and I lit my joss stick, and I was trying to blow out the flame on the match and on the joss stick, but not the flame in the candle. So I had to blow the right amount to get the situation right. So it's something like, the message that's trying to come through with that is like, know how much pressure to apply and how much to hold back, and know how much effort or how much force something needs to be in the perfect conditions. Because it's like, if I blew too hard, like the candle would have gone out as well, but if I didn't blow hard enough, the kind of lit end of the joss stick wouldn't have gone out. So I had to get the balance right. So yeah, just know how much pressure to put in a certain situation, and know how to, it's like your energy was coming through really, really soft. So these decks that I'm using for your reading today, Gemini, it's like, I'm just going to be quiet and just listen to the sound that the cards are making. Can you hear it's like a really soft, like sliding noise? It's like Page of Inspiration. Yeah, I'm using the Muse Tarot. I feel like you could be really inspiring to somebody. You've also got Justice and the Ace of Materials there. The Ace of Materials is like the Page of Pentacles, similar to the Queen, slightly different meaning in my own deck, but it could be something about relocating. Again, this idea of like, I mean, that's exactly what I was saying, right? The Ace of Materials and the Justice card together is very similar to my Queen card, because it symbolizes something of authority. So like this can symbolize kind of like courts and things. It feels like, oh, contracts, right? The Ace of Pentacles and the Justice card, that's like a contract. So somebody who perhaps is drawing up a contract or protecting a contract, something like that. But this is inspiration. This is like the muse. So you could be coming in as like a creative, as part of a team, and getting some kind of offer to do that. What were those weird noises? These weird dingy noises. But it's like your energy is coming through really softly. It's like really softly. It's kind of like maybe like a bit hush. There's the Lovers card. Look, yeah, that's your energy. Queen of Voices. Now, the Queen of Voices can be some sort of advisor. She tends to be brutally honest, but it's like she gives good advice. Like, you know where you stand with her. I feel like this is tying into something else that's coming up for you about loyalty and honesty. So I'm going to kind of come back to that. Okay, so yeah, that's really interesting. It feels like it could be something to do with like your work or something that you do. It's like you could be getting, for example, say you were like an influencer or something, you could be getting some kind of like sponsorship deal, right? But it's like you have to keep it quiet until it goes live. It's got that kind of energy to it. All right. So with the push-pull thing, like knowing how much pressure to apply, it could be negotiating how much you're going to get, you know, to work at a certain place, or how much that deal is worth. It's like the negotiation of it. It's like, don't be too gentle, but don't be too forceful. Like, don't be too pushy that they never want to work with you again, but don't be so meek that you get kind of taken advantage of. It could be something like that. There could be something about homeless people. Now, I've been getting a lot of videos pushed on my YouTube feed between Taurus's reading and your reading to do with people who are overqualified, like not overqualified, but it's a series of videos where they're interviewing homeless people, particularly around the California area, where people are just telling their stories about like why they're homeless, like what the situation's like for them. And there's been quite a few interviews that have kind of been pushed where it's people who have like, you know, mathematics degrees, or, you know, master's degrees in engineering, or, you know, people who were, you know, professionals who were earning a lot of money, but because of things like house prices and rents in areas like that, a lot of people are only like 2 or 3 paychecks away from losing their mortgage, right? So you're getting all these like professionals with, you know, really good qualifications and families who you wouldn't expect to find if you just, you know, if you picture homeless in your head, you know, maybe some people think about, I don't know, people who are addicted to certain things, or, you know, maybe some people think, oh, just these people are lazy, why don't they get a job? But the point is, these videos really explain how difficult it is when you get in that situation. It becomes a trap. So it's, you know, especially if people don't have like family or people to help support them, and they're kind of on their own, or they have people who are dependent on them, it makes it really difficult for them to get a job, because it's like, well, how do I get a job if I can't even have a shower? How do I get a job if people steal my shoes every night? So it's really complicated. And then it's like they talk about how they access it's like there is support there are services there are people who are trying to help, but the problem is how to access that. So how do I access a service if I have to you know, if I have to wait for a phone call, how do they phone me if my phone's getting stolen from me? You know, it's like there's a lot of hurdles that are getting in the way of these services being effective. So there could be something like that. But you're also getting something through about almost being part of, it's like you're being part of the underdogs is the way it's coming through, Gemini. Now, I'm not saying that you're necessarily homeless, but it's more like you're looking at the people who have power, because it's coming through with this, I'm going to take the King's Crown energy. But it's like you're not actively trying to vie for power, or you're not actively trying to you know, compete with somebody for a certain position. Say this is like a work thing. It's like you're not even actively, it's like almost like, yes, that may happen. Yes, you know, if you had the opportunity to take some kind of leadership position, of course you would. But it's like you are just doing your own thing. And because you're doing your own thing in a way that is really high vibrational, really fun, really like, just, it's almost like, don't look at what everybody else is doing, just go and do what you're doing and have fun doing it. And it's like that energy, the energy of just enjoying what you do, is attractive. So all the people who are disillusioned with the old structure that is not really working for people, it's like, you know, like nose to the ground. If you think about like how revolutions happen, right, it's the reason why revolutions don't happen is because people cling to their comfort. So if that comfort, their safety is threatened, this is what tips the scales into people who want to kind of riot or whatever, is because they have nothing left to lose. So a good caretaker, if you think about how the king is supposed to caretake for the people, you know, a good caretaker is going to keep everybody comfortable. So if people are working really long hours and they're getting tired and frustrated and angry, you know, they're not going to want to continue to follow that person who's in power. So this could even be, you know, again, at a workplace level. If you have a boss who is, I had a boss like this once, who expects you to work ridiculously long hours, and they don't treat you, you know, they treat you as disposable. They try and get you to work ridiculously long hours because they can, right? It's because they know that you're desperate for the money. You know, that kind of like almost like tyrannical boss, where the work environment is not happy, right? And say you had another workplace for comparison. So the reference that they're giving me is like Google. So do you remember when the Google offices opened, and it was revolutionary because they had like, you know, bean bags, and people wore like jeans to work, and it's like they had like table tennis. I don't know if they had table tennis, but it's like that vibe, right? It's like a casual, fun workplace, and this made Google a really attractive competitor in the market for like where to work. So it's like workplaces that, you know, and then it has an effect on all the other businesses, because, you know, the other businesses see, you know, that Google's stealing all the best people, because, I mean, I don't know, it doesn't have to be Google, right? But it's like, you know, this workplace that's really fun and has, you know, cares for its workers and has a fun environment where there's like a good benefits package and all of this. It's like they're going to take the cream of the crop because everybody's going to want to work there. So the other places have to step up, right? The other places have to compete to, you know, follow that good example, because that's attracting the best people. So, and they're telling me like bees to honey. Exactly. Thank you. I mean, bees make honey, but you know what I mean? It's like, that's what I see you doing, Gemini. So I don't know, it could be, I don't know, you work in an office and you've put in your own team together, but they're showing me also, you know, like a sports day at school where, you know, the team captains get to pick who they want for their team. It's kind of that kind of thing, but you're making your team really attractive because your team's the fun team. You're the kind of boss who's going to be taking in donuts for everybody, right? And you're going to be like, you know, if people are stressed, you're like, do you know what, take a day off, have a holiday, you know, we'll back you up, and then, you know, when we need a day off, we know that you're going to step up and take care of us. So it's a much more camaraderie kind of environment than whatever your competitor is. So it's like, even though you're not necessarily competing with that other team or that other workplace or business or whatever it is, could be a person, right? It's like you and your friendship group and them and their friendship group, but, you know, everybody wants to come out and party with you because, what's that song? I just want to party with you, Lana Del Rey. I feel like that was in the title of an Aries reading, maybe like 2 weeks back. 3 weeks back maybe, but it's like everybody wants to party with you, Gemini. Everybody wants to be part of your team because your team's the fun team. They were also giving me the example of like, I know that when I used to go out like years and years ago, back in the 90s, like the clubs, a lot of clubs expected you to wear smart shoes, although it's like the 1940s, right? It's like you had to go in with your bowler hat and your shiny shoes. It's like, to get into the clubs, you'd have to go in kind of party wear or formal wear. But it's like now, I think because of the influence of music, you know, you can go to clubs with trainers on, because society changes, the expectations of being smartly dressed changes. So rather than wearing kind of loafers to the club, people now wear kind of like, you know, I think it's down to kind of like rappers and stuff as well, where, you know, you'd get these rappers with a huge amount of money and a huge amount of influence, and they'd be wearing, all like sports stars, right? Like basketball players and stuff. And they'd be wearing like, you know, £500 Nike trainers with like diamantes on them, or diamonds on them even, and it's like it became the new formal wear. So there's something about that as well, about the and again, like about Google, right? You're wearing jeans to the office. It's like the environment changes, or the environment could change, and I feel like you're an instigator of that change. So it could be relocating an office as well to somewhere that's like less, like it could be something like, again, talking about sort of Google and like Silicon Valley and stuff like that. It's like the rent place, like or like London as well, like London. I saw somebody on Twitter talking about like the UK having like one major city, and then you have all this stuff about like the Northern Powerhouse and kind of like this stuff, which I think is a gimmick. Like I don't trust politicians as far as I can throw them. I study classics. I know all the tricks, right? So like the rhetoric, and like I can see right through it. I'm like, stop bullshitting me. But sorry guys, but like the idea, especially I think because people have been working from home, right? COVID did so many people a favor. Like at first, the first initial impact, I mean, of course, it was a disaster in so many ways, but it made people turn the ship upside down, right? It made people see things from a different perspective, because all those people who were kind of on the bottom rungs and unappreciated in society, like, you know, the nurses, the you know, delivery people, you know, people who made food, all these people, like the people who like actually went out into the fields and picked apples and things. It's like these people suddenly became vitally important to the survival of society. You know, transport people, like taking toilet roll to the shops so people could panic buy toilet roll. It's like, you know, the things that were taken for granted suddenly became, or the people that were taken for granted suddenly became vitally important. I wonder how this ties into like the homeless thing that was coming through. But it's like another thing that happened is that suddenly a lot of workplaces were forced to innovate in terms of their technology to offer work from home, so they didn't have to threaten everybody's health by having people have to travel to the office environment. So a lot of workplaces that never offered, you know, work from home packages before are now doing it and seeing a benefit in it, because it's better for the environment if people aren't all traveling to and from, right, with like all that gas, you know, petrol fuels and things like that. It's making the environment healthier. It's also kind of you know, great for people who have children, you know, to have that kind of flexible work schedule, and to be able to, you know, just wear, I don't know, pajama bottoms, because people can only see you on Zoom from the head up. It's like suddenly the rule has changed, right? The rules have changed, the game has changed, everybody's attitudes changed. So it's like, if we say we have a business with like 500 people, like why, and we can work from home, right? No, we don't have to go to the office anymore. Like say, okay, maybe 100 of those people still need to go into the office, but 400 of people can do their job completely remotely. And it's like, say you're getting paid, I don't know, say you're getting paid £1,000 a month, right? I mean, just a figure, just an easy figure to pop out of my head. £1,000 a month to do your job, work from home, but your rent is £800, right? So it's like you've got £200 left over. It's like, why can't I do my work from home job outside of the city in like the suburbs where rent is £200 a month, right? So if I go over there and live there and do my job for 200, like still get paid £1,000, but like my rent is costing £600 cheaper, why wouldn't I do that? You know, it's a leafy environment, I'm out of the city, it's like, you know, farmland there, there's fields, it's cleaner air for my kids. Like, why would I stay here if I could do the same job cheaper somewhere else? So there's this almost leveling of the playing field where, again, like that thing about the homeless people in kind of like California, it's like instead of having all these people trapped in the city centre because that's where the jobs are, all of a sudden it's like the jobs are dispersed, right? It's like that you don't need to have the big cities anymore. Maybe it's something like that. That could be like a collective message, but it's coming through in your reading because, I don't know, you think in different ways, I want to say, and you're playful and you're fun and you're like, let's give this a try, let's see how this works out. So you've got this whole the grass is greener over here thing. It was coming in with like, come on in, the water's fine. I can see a cat opposite me, directly opposite me in a neighbour's window, black cat watching me, so that could be significant to somebody. I've seen a lot of black animals as well. I'm seeing black crows as well around. Yeah, the grass is greener over here. Come on in, the water's fine. Trust your own guides is one of my messages. Spiritual protection. You have got spiritual protection and guidance at the moment. I'm getting be grateful for the small gifts. So watch out for gifts from spirit. Spirit could be trying to communicate to you in small ways. Now, I'm really, really grateful to like kind of like spirit guides who communicate through nature. So I always watch, like I was just saying there, through like looking at the cat, it's just stretched and moved to the other side of the window, like watching the animals around, watching the birds, watching the cats, watching the squirrels, like how are they behaving, what are they doing, use them as a guide, but also like look for the signs from nature. So this year again, because I walk a lot in nature, I'm observant, I can see the different changes that happen in different years between the seasons. So this year particularly, I was seeing a huge amount of seeds from the trees. So have I still got some here? No, I think I planted some of them. So I had I've got acorns and conkers. So I don't normally see very many acorns, and this year there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acorns. I'm still seeing them absolutely everywhere. And I heard this thing about the trees are really clever, because what they do is they don't drop acorns. So the oak trees communicate with each other, and purposefully don't drop acorns for like a number of years to reduce the squirrel population. And then when the squirrel population is reduced, it's like they do this go sign where they all drop like loads and loads and loads of acorns. And it's like, it's a way of the trees maximizing the potential to have new trees, right? Rather than dropping their acorns the same amount every year and the squirrels coming and kind of like taking them and eating them. It's like they can coordinate to maximize the potential of like the right timing of doing it. I don't know. That was fascinating to me. But this year I've seen so many acorns and not many squirrels. Like, I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, be grateful for the small gifts. So if nature is giving you gifts, right? If you suddenly find something in your path, like a feather or some kind of interesting rock or a shell, you know, something from a tree, it's like, take those presents from nature, because they are messages from your spirit guide. So take them and maybe just have like a little corner of your house, like a little display where you're putting these gifts from nature and you're thankful for them. Because when you're thankful for the small things, nature can give you more, right? It can increase your abundance, because it sees that you're listening and it sees that you're responding to the small signs. So don't ignore the small signs, the small gestures. That's actually a pigeon. There's a pigeon back. So pigeons are messengers. You could be getting a message. I was getting the word, I can't pronounce it, but it's like fealty. It comes from a very old Roman word called, which is fides, which changes to fidelitas in kind of like modern Latin. So it's fealty, I can't say it. It's a medieval word, and it's talking about when you have a lord who owns the land. You know, the people who, like the farmers of that land, you know, the people who farm the land, the caretakers of the land. There's like a duty of care between the lord and the people who live on his land, where, you know, there's a bond, there's an oath between them, this oath of fealty, which is like, I will be loyal to my lord because my lord offers me protection, right? The lord protects the land, the people, you know, it's like a two-way relationship where everybody's working to protect their piece of land. So it's a word that talks about like trust and faith. So I place my faith in you. I give you my coin, right? I give you my pledge. I will care for your land. So there's this kind of it's a word that has roots from classical Latin, meaning like honor and trust. So faith, honor, trust, kind of like brotherhood as well. It's kind of one of those words that doesn't translate. There's no equivalent word in the English language, but it's like, I place my faith in you. I place my trust in you. There's a bond between us, is the way it comes through. God, I'm 33 minutes in yet. I haven't even pulled any like cards on camera. You've got a lot of messages. Now, what's interesting to me is the reading that came through as your song for this reading. It's Paper Planes by M.I.A. So M.I.A, somebody could be missing in action, you could be missing in action. This idea of like, I get visas in my name as well. You know, she's not necessarily like part of the status quo. If you listen to the words of that song, it's a little bit controversial, but she's definitely on the side of people who are kind of like wheeler dealing or scheming, right? I wouldn't necessarily agree with everything that's in that song, but it's a song I really like. It's a song that I think is a really fun song to sing and kind of like do actions to. But again, I wouldn't necessarily think that, I wouldn't advise it, right? I'm not giving it as advice. But what stood out to me was she says bona fide. So that word again, fealty, which comes from fidelitas, fides, bona fide. Bona fide means genuine, right? The genuine article, but the actual Latin, translation is in good faith, right? Bona meaning good, fide meaning faith. So in good faith. So it's like doing something in good faith, but also be really careful of language barriers. So again, perhaps you're moving to somewhere where they speak a different language. There could be miscommunication because you could have different understandings of what a word means. So just be aware of that. Like one word could mean something in one language and mean something quite different in another language, or be used a different way. So just kind of be aware of that. But I'm a bona fide hustler making my name. So I don't know what you're doing. You sound like you're wheeling and dealing and hustling, kind of bringing projects together, but you feel like you're doing it in a really fun way where it's like people want to join in with you. It does have a little bit of a vibe. Again, this is kind of like a red flag. It does have that bit of a vibe of like, I worked in schools and I did a lot of safeguarding, and one thing that they get you to look for is signs of it's a word that ends in ing, but it starts with groom. I don't want to say it in case it kind of like starts to hide my video. But what happens is you get gangs, so like criminal gangs, who recruit kids to kind of do a lot of, again, you saw that pigeon, or I saw the pigeon, so a lot of like the running and the messaging and kind of like, some of the logistics of what the criminal activity is up to, and they recruit children, and one way that they do this is through making them feel like they're part of a family, especially, so they particularly target children who are having difficulties at home or perhaps are in the care system. And so by making them feel valued and making them feel a part of something bigger, this is why the children join the gangs in the first place. So you do find that some of the older gang leaders will buy the kids fancy trainers, a new phone. So these are kind of like the signs that you watch out for. It's like, well, where are you getting that money from? So I don't know if that's a situation that somebody's finding, perhaps their children are doing something like that. So, if they're suddenly coming home with like designer trainers and a new phone, jewelry and things like this, and designer clothes, it's like, well, where's the money coming from for that, right? In a way that's not challenging, because if you challenge them, they're just going to kind of close down and hide it. So if you are in that situation, a really good thing to look at, in the UK we have like NSPCC, Childline. They offer, if you just kind of Google advice, what to do if this is the situation, what to look out for. There's a lot of parenting advice on those sites as well. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of clean these away, and we're kind of going to pull cards on camera for you. 40 minutes in. All right, I'll be back with you in a sec, gems. Okay, table is cleared. We're going to pull you some cards on camera. I'm also drinking my coffee because, oh my goodness, that was a lot of talking. It's funny because I've got so much intuitively, like I did for Aries and Taurus, but the toll is taking on me. Aries and Taurus, it was like, again, that feeling of like very demanding energy, and then you were just coming in like a breath of fresh air. You're coming in funny, playful, good-natured. It's like, yes, as much as I respect the authority of the kind of like the Emperor and the Hierophant, it's like your energy feels so much easier to sit in. So we'll see what we get for you. Let's go. I'm going to go quite quickly because I have been here for 40 minutes. So we're going to see what you get. Hard work ahead. Again, yeah, I feel like you're trying to build something. You're trying to establish something. So again, it's not all fun and games. It is hard work. And I feel like you know that. But it's like the approach that you're taking to the hard work is fun. It's like, yeah, it's like when kids have to do the homework, right? It's like, if they see it as a chore, if they see it as like, oh, I've got to do my homework. But it's like coming at it like, right? As soon as you get this done, I'll play a computer game with you. You know, we'll get some sweets while we're doing it. It's like, if you do it in a fun way, you know, let's put some music on. Like, you've got to clean, you're right, you've got to clean up. You work in a kitchen, I work in a kitchen. Like, you've got to clean up at the end of the day. You can do it where you're all kind of like moping and miserable, or you can put music on, kind of like try and cheer yourselves up, you know, have a chat. You know, it's like the approach that you take, it has an effect on the team as well, something like that. But yeah, it's like, it's not that you're not prepared to do the hard work, you are prepared to do the hard work. And it could be like, this is a misunderstanding about you, Gemini. It's like, people don't take you seriously because you are a bit of a joker. You know, you have that light-hearted, especially if you're a Gemini Sun or Gemini Mercury. It's like, you have that light-hearted approach, but like, people don't see the flip side, right? They don't see how much loyalty you have to the things that you care about. Like, the loyalty that Geminis have to their family and friends, like, is like par none. It's bona fide, right? It's like, yes, you like your independence, yes, you like to play around and have a lot of freedom and things like that, but that doesn't mean you're not loyal, right? That doesn't mean you don't care. Crib, birth, conception of a child or enterprise. Like I said, I did see a baby being born premature, but they were fine in my vision, at least. So again, doesn't have to be a child, it could be an enterprise. Again, I do feel like you're trying to establish something, you're trying to set something up. Hills, obstacles to overcome. But again, going back to your original message, it's like, if you think there's obstacles, like, don't focus on them, and it's like they'll just disappear as if by magic. It's like, you'll overcome it, because it's obstacles to overcome. The point is that you will overcome them. Like, they're there to be overcome. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Makes sense to me. What else, please, for Gemini? So, that fell off the table. Okay, that's really good. Cloud's temporary problems actually fell off the table. It's like, you don't have to worry about that. Spirit doesn't want you to worry about that. Spirit is taking care of this for you. Just keep manifesting in a way that you're not worrying, but you're focusing on the good. You've got dog far away. A distant friend is thinking of you. It could be that there's something about dogs. I've been getting... my brain kind of keeps on going back to this dog that I had when I was younger. He was a German Shepherd called Ben. He was the stupidest German Shepherd. It's like, have you ever seen that film? What is it? Huxley and Me? Harley and Me? Harley and Me? Marley and Me. Marley and Me. I got there. Huxley is a dog that I know on Twitter. I don't know them, but that's where I've got that name from. Marley and Me. Where it's like, you know, he gets this dog and it's like all the other dogs are like really clever and he just gets like this stupid one. That's what it was like for me. He was like the, you know, I think of like, I'd watch things like K9 and K9000, and like my Nana had an Alsatian, like a long hair Alsatian, and I got this German Shepherd expecting it to be like really clever, and it was like the dumbest dog, like funny but stupid. He was very young as well, he was only like 1, but unfortunately he got dog napped. So yeah, I was thinking about him a lot, but there could be something about that for you. So anything that I'm saying, if it rings a bell, if it makes you think of something, take it. If it means nothing to you, leave it. But dogs could be symbolic to you. You could know somebody with a dog. If they're a friend, they're thinking of you, right? But broken wishbone, a wish will not be granted. Okay, interesting. Don't worry, again, you've got a lot of really positive stuff here. Sometimes obstacles are placed in our path as a way of spirit redirecting us to a better path. So if you're trying to do something, it might be like the spirit's watching you do it and you're like, you're doing it the hard way. Like, you're wishing for this, when it's like, if you just go over here and go around this way, it's like, you'll get what you want. It'll be much easier. Like, you don't have to do it the hard way. So I feel like spirit's almost like laughing, like I'm watching you try and do something. It's like you're expecting something to be hard work, but it's not even going to be hard work, right? It's like, it's got that kind of feel to it. Fealty, like that kind of word keeps coming back through. What is going on? There's loads of little tiny flies. It's that time of the year when like the tiny flies are starting to come indoors, and I've got lots of plants, and I'm gonna have to get some like little tiny fly spray. I don't like doing it though. I'm such a big softie. I'm vegetarian. I don't like killing anything. It's like, I'll only kill things if I absolutely have to. Like fleas, right? It's like, if there's fleas, it's like, I'm gonna have to nuke them. I can't. Queen of Pentacles. So you're coming through this Queen of Pentacles energy, or there's a pick. Oh, look at that Emperor as well. Okay, so I feel like, again, this feels like work. It doesn't have to be work. It could be you and a father, you and a husband, but the husband is kind of a little bit senior in some sort of way. The Emperor is senior to the Queen of Pentacles. So there's something going on here. This is Capricorn energy. This is Aries, Taurus energy. It's coming through as your energy, but it doesn't have to be. Giving me James and the Giant Peach. Somebody could be called James. And I've been eating plums. So plums, peaches, apricots could be something for somebody. Yeah, she does kind of look a bit like she's sitting in a beanbag. They do kind of look like they're on beanbag chairs. So it's like, which kind of chairs should we get for the new office? And let's get beanbags. Is that a good idea? So anyway, yeah, think about as well, like, I'm getting a message, like, if you're doing something like that and you're kind of like getting like fun chairs, it's like, I don't know, maybe like 20, you're doing like a startup business, you're doing your office. Remember that some of the people who may be coming to your office may be older or may have medical issues where they can't sit in a beanbag. You know, if somebody has like really bad knees or a really bad back, they're going to have a lot of trouble sitting down and getting up. So yeah, it may seem really fun, but just make sure that you have, like, I don't know, a traditional table with traditional chairs. You know, if somebody has those kind of medical issues, and again, it could be like, this could be something that happens down the road, but it's like, think about those things. Don't just go in like a kid, right? It's like a kid who's like, the teacher said, right, you get to design the classroom. It's like, also think about it. Use your adult brain as well, Gemini. But the Queen of Pentacles, this is the caretaker energy. So again, this is shown as you, and I know I can think of several female Gemini friends throughout the years who have been such lovely caretakers for the family, and especially for the children or for the family children. Like, I can think of a really good friend of mine who was such a good auntie to her nieces. It's like that tender loving care, right? That little bit extra of like, okay, your mum might give you like cheese sandwiches, but I'm going to give you peanut butter jelly sandwiches, like, and I'm going to cut them in the shape of a bear, right? It's like that little extra that you do, that little creative touch that you do really goes the distance, and that's kind of what they're giving me. And it could be that it's catching the eye of someone who's senior. So it's like the care that you take in whatever you do is what's creating this offer that's coming to you. Again, it could be vice versa. You could be collaborating with somebody, trying to get somebody to invest in your business, something like that. I don't know exactly what's going on, but at the moment it's like you're not looking at each other. So again, I don't know if there's something where he's turned towards you, but you're pretending you don't notice. So there's something about that where it's like you're both off kind of. Again, if this is like a business thing, you and this other person could, again, don't worry about gender, flip it and reverse it if needs be. But it's like, you're not looking at them because it's like, again, there could be something where you don't want something to be known too early. So you've got this kind of like, he's holding this chess piece as well. So there's strategy here. But I do feel like there's some kind of shared interest here where it's like a beneficial relationship in some sort of way, but they're shown as senior. So again, it could be like your boss or something, your dad. They're also the thing about the Queen of Pentacles and the Emperor, a lovely thing about these two energies is they both have their own ships to look after, right? They're both captains of their own ships. So they have people who are dependent on them. They have people they are both in a position where they have people who are dependent on them, and they need to make sure that their ship's sailing straight, right? Everything's above board, perhaps. It's like they both have to make sure that the people that are part of their ship are well taken care of. So again, if this was kind of like a business merger, perhaps, a business investment, a business merger, something like that, it's like this person has a responsibility to their employees, but this person also has a responsibility to their team or their employees. So, there's more at stake here than just these two individuals. All right. I'm going to quite quickly, hopefully, do you a full Celtic cross, but it's like my own version of the Celtic cross. So I'll kind of explain it as I've pulled the cards. So what's going on for Gemini, please? What is the world? So again, I'm really getting like logistics, right? An office in a different place, or you're moving, or it's like one thing's wrapping up so that you've learnt the lessons from that thing that you've kind of like wrapped up and established, and now you're going on to something new, perhaps. What happened before this? Where did this come from? Where did this? Whoa, that's a lot. A decision you made, to look at something from a new perspective. There's that upside down ship, right? So deciding to look at something from a different angle has taught you a lot of lessons. That's really good, actually. I like that. And like, I feel like overcoming those obstacles as well, right? It's like, okay, I can't climb that mountain, but maybe I can do a backflip over it. Does that make any sense? But I feel like you've got the ball rolling on something. It's like you've got the ball rolling on something because you changed the perspective. Again, it's like you're coming through like your Google, right? You did something a different way. You offered a different way, like a different way of doing something that was more beneficial than the old way of doing it. And I feel like you proved yourself in some sort of way, which is not only proven that your way of doing things is right, but it's changed the way that other people do things as well, is the way that that feels to me. That feel word, feel, maybe there's something to that. Maybe they're trying to get me to say a different word, that kind of feel sound, field work, I don't know. Where is this heading? Where is the ship currently heading? Success. Yeah, no, you, whatever you're doing, it's really, really good. Keep doing you. I think you coming in with a really inventive, out of the box method is actually creating really beneficial change for everybody. It's like it's drawing attention to you. You are having success here because you're so innovative, right? Because your ideas are so fresh, because you have this like almost like that kid coming into the workplace and being like, I don't know, just saying something, and then everybody being like, wow, that's a really good idea, and it's really obvious, but why did we not think of that? It's because you have that fresh perspective. That's quite Aquarian, by the way. You've got Aquarius, kind of Sagittarius, Capricorn. So yeah, you could have any of those placements. Look for those placements in your chart. What is the obstacle, please? Temperance. Yeah, temperance. I get it. I've got a Gemini moon. I totally understand. Gemini moon, Sagittarius, Mars. Having to be patient, having to wait for things is not the strong suit of Gemini energy. It's like you want to get going, you want to do things, you want to strike while the iron's hot, right? You want to do things while you're in the flow, while things are fun, while things are exciting and novel and new. But it's like having to wait for Christmas. It's like you've got this energy of like being in the candy shop, but you can only have one sweet a day. And you're like, but I want a big bag of sweets right now. It's like, no, this has to be something that happens naturally over time. Like, let it alchemize, let it, you can't change minds overnight just because you have this really like flexible way of thinking, this kind of you're very open to change. Again, look at your full chart, because some of you are going to have like Taurus Mars or something like that, which is like Taurus Mars is like trying to, it's having a boulder that's rolling down a certain path that it's always rolled down, right? It's like really easy to roll down that path because it's the trodden way, but trying to push it off center when it's got that momentum is like impossible. That's Taurus Mars placement. So do look at your Mars placement, because that is going to affect how responsive you are to change. But Gemini energy by itself is like, this is a great idea, let's try it. Yay, I'm on board, right? So, but it takes other people a little bit more time to kind of curve around into the same direction. Some people have a slower process. Let's go to your strength. What is your strength at this time? Yeah, absolutely. Going for your dreams, going for your wishes, knowing your direction, knowing what you want from life, like, or having a very visionary approach. It's like you are connected. Look at that, the Magician as well. Like, that's your energy. That's you and Virgo. This is Aquarius again. You could have Aquarius in your chart. I'm kind of getting a lot of the air signs. The air signs are doing things a really different way at the moment. It's almost like allowing people to think that they're the bad guy until people realize that the way the air signs are doing it is the right way. Do you know what I mean? It's like the first person to do something differently is always the bad guy. They always face criticism until people start to see the benefit of it, and then it's like everybody else gets on board. I'm thinking of a project. I can't give you the name of it specifically, but it was like a research project that people did where they had this machine in this room, and it was like, this is the way you operate the machine. You press this button, and then you press this button, and then you press this button, and then you press this button. You have to do the buttons in that order. And so they had like 5 people in this room, and 4 of the people were told to do it this way, but they had one person who was like the plant, right? The one person who was like the the person that was intentionally put in to want to do it a different way. So this one person was like, but why are we doing it 1, 2, 3, 4 when we could just like cut out this entirely, press these at the same time and go 1, 2? It's like, it's quicker, it's more effective. But everybody's like, no, this is what the instruction book says we have to do. We have to press them 1, 2, 3, 4. And this person was like, yeah, but if we do it that way, it's better, it's simpler, it has the same outcome. And they're all like, yes, but this is how you do it. and it's like that fifth person was like, well, okay, you do it your way then. And it's because the group was on the side of this is how we were told to do it. But what they did over time in this project was they started to increase the amount of people who wanted to do it the second way. So they started to put more and more people. So they put more people in the room, but it was like over time, proportionally, they were adding more people over to the innovative side. So what happened was there was eventually the weight of favor, more people wanted to do it that way. And then because people are basically sheep, they go with the crowd, right? They don't want to be seen as going against the grain. Like eventually more people started to side with the innovators because it takes time. It's like drips, right? Like gradually more and more people are going to see it your way, and they're going to see that your way is the right way. And just generally air signs in general, but initially you're going to seem like the instigator. You're going to see Sagittarius are getting this too. Like you're going to seem like the trouble causer, but it's because people side with the bigger group at first. It takes time for people to see that your way is the more effective way of doing it, right? It's like a drip feed, but you are going to have success. Being patient's a challenge. What did I say? Yeah, the star card is your strength. Like your hopes, your dreams, your ambitions, you having a clear-sightedness for the future. It's very Aquarian energy, very kind of Uranus energy. It is the energy of the innovator. Your innovative personality is what's going to lead you to this success. And I should say as well, the sixth inspiration and the star are both symbolic of having the limelight on you, being successful, and kind of standing in the spotlight, standing out and owning it, right? It's like when that spotlight falls on you, embrace it, because whatever you're doing is it's almost like divinely guided to inspire others in a really, really healing way, because the star card carries healing energy. I need to say as well, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 major arcana so far. That is a lot. So this is quite powerful energy. It's quite a big change that you're bringing in. What's in your blind spot? It's a good thing I've got a Gemini moon, because I can talk and talk and talk. Strength, another major arcana. What's in your blind spot? You do have support. You might think that you're doing it on your own here. I do feel like you are the figurehead. You are the instigator, right? You are the person leading the charge. What you don't realize is you've got really, really strong soulmate connections here who are loyal to you, right? It's kind of, it's making me think of that scene in Jerry Maguire, which I've not finished watching yet. I've never watched it until recently. But there's a scene where he kind of writes this really inspiring speech, and then he gets fired, and then he walks out and he's like, who's coming with me? He's doing something that's really innovative, right? And people don't agree with it at first. But it's like, you know, I mean, it doesn't happen in that film, but what I'm seeing for you is like, you may not see it immediately, but there are people who are loyal to you. You do have people who have your back. It might just take them a little bit more time to, I don't know, work up the courage, because this is courage as well, to work up the courage to follow you. It may just be that they need to warm up to the idea. If it's particularly new and like if it's something that's really out of left field, right, it could be that it shocks people, and people kind of like hold on to that safety again. I get that idea of like the rolling boulder, having to kind of like be pushed off course. It feels unnatural. It's like people are trying to do the tried and tested way, but they will come round. They are loyal to you. You do have their fidelity, right? You have their pledge. You have that, you know, you have that honor. You have that brotherhood. It's like it's gonna turn up for you. I can just feel it. Again, dog far away thinking of you. Like your friends are here for you. Again, this idea of like a wish that's not granted, I kind of want to come back to that, because your wishes are your strength, so don't give up on it. I had this message as well. I was thinking about what was it, something like aim high. This was what it was. I was in the bath, so I didn't write it down. It's like aim high. Like your hopes are your strength. It's so funny that's coming out this way as well. Like your hopes are your strength. So aim high, because hope is the motivator. Hope is the motivator. That was the message. It's like hope is the great motivator. I'm thinking about that election as well. I think it was in like South America, where there was like this really old regime, and people were really having trouble challenging this regime. Right? They had like voting and things like this, but people were voting for the old regime because it was like what they were used to, where they had this like competitor that came in and they used the symbol of the rainbow. Sorry, I just not that. I don't know very much about this, by the way. All I know is that it was like a marketing thing, like the symbol of the rainbow, like the symbol of hope, of something better, was what actually tipped the campaign in their favor. So it's like, be the symbol of hope. And it's like, yes, okay, your wishes may not be granted, your wishes may not come true, you may not get exactly what you want here, but it's like, if you aim for the top and you try for the best, but you get like, say there's a ladder, it's got like 10 rungs on the ladder, and you go for the top rung, right? You go for the CEO position. Yes, you might not get the CEO position, but you might get like, I don't know, like manager position, right? And it's like, if you didn't try, it's like, you know, if you never try, you never know. So like, use hope as your motivator. And yes, you might not quite get what you want, but it's like, you're gonna get further than you would have got if you'd have just sat on your ass, right, without any hope. It's like, hope is the motivator. Hope is inspiring. Hope gets you to take action, where if there was no hope, you'd just sit there on the bottom rung and not even try, right? So it's like, don't get demotivated, like hold on to your hope. And it's like, yeah, okay, you may have this position today, but who's to say that when this person retires, you're not going to be next in line? So even though you've not got your wish right now, it's like, it's lining up for the future, right? Or it's like, spirit knows better. Okay, what's your fear? What's your fear? What's your fear? Your fear is fear itself. Your fear is your own dark thoughts, your own anxiety, overthinking, getting in your own head with that stupid mercurial energy. It's like, you and Virgo are so bad for this. If you've got like Gemini, and me as well, like my Gemini moon, like it makes you overthink. That mercurial energy, like Virgos know this. Like Virgos, any Virgos watching, any Virgo placements, like, oh my God, I get it, right? Like that kind of over-analysis, overthinking. Like, you and Virgo, smartest signs in the zodiac. Like, you, Virgo, maybe Aquarius, like super, super intelligent, super strategic, super, like, you can look at things from so many different angles. And again, I've got a Gemini moon, so like behind closed doors, like bundle of, it's like my brain is spaghetti. I always say it's like my brain is spaghetti. And where most people think, it's like most people think in a linear fashion, right? Most people are like point A, point B, point C, point D, point E. I don't know if I have like ADHD or something like this, but I think it's just my Gemini moon. It's like my brain goes like a spider web, right? It's like, or a pinball. I've described my brain as like a pinball machine before, where it's like, I have an idea, I have a thought, and it's like, it goes into my head in so much energy. It's like, what's this, right? It's like it pinballs around in there, and it hits things that, you know, it hits things, and it makes areas of my brain light up and go ding, 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 in a way where like most people wouldn't have that. Most people would like, right, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and they'd bypass all those like weird and wonderful ideas and thoughts that Gemini energy gives me. So, but because I have that pinball brain, right, pinball machine brain, it's like, or spaghetti brain, it's like, or like a spider web. It's like, instead of it lighting up the next step, it lights up, it's like it branches out into like 10 different directions. So it's like much more, it gives me, and again, I do see it, it's a blessing and a curse. It's a curse because it gets you in this overthinking energy, where sometimes it's like an analysis paralysis, where you don't get anything done because you're too busy thinking about it. Again, I've got Libra, so Libras are notoriously bad for like making their minds up because they overthink everything. But it's like, you, again, look at this, like all the different branches. This is what I'm talking about. It's like, it comes in, and then it's like, it could be so many different things. But the worst thing about this, and especially Virgos get it, and Gemini, I know that you do too, is like, not only is it lighting up all the ideas and the opportunities and all the fun things, it lights up all those areas of your brain that are to do with like fears and all the things that could go wrong and all the like pitfalls and trapdoors as well. So it's like you end up in that analysis paralysis where it's like, I can't move, or you exhaust yourself. You absolutely exhaust yourself. And it's like, thinking is energy. You know, when you think a lot, your brain is using energy. So this is why people get skinny when they're stressed, right? Unless they're like overeating to kind of counterbalance it. A lot of people lose weight when they're stressed because your brain's using so much energy. It's like your head is lighting up with all those thoughts. And, you know, it's funny because like people call Libras lazy. It's like they're just physically exhausted because they think too much. It's that kind of energy. So just, this is your fear. Your fear is this overthinking energy, getting stuck in your own head, not knowing what to do, not knowing what action to take, making yourself sick as well. Like, you know, that's kind of like really bad mental health, that Nine of Swords there. But again, it's like, your own fears are your worst enemy here. So like, you're fearing your own fears. So how do you get out of that? And I think, again, if you remember what your strength is, and again, like, your strength is in your blind spot. So your own strength, your own ability to trust your hope, trust that Spirit's got your back, like your own ability to like really go for your dreams, is your strength. So don't cave into that little devil on your shoulder that kind of like gets you in your own head. Just distract yourself, right? You've got the sun here as well. I feel like you're going to be absolutely fine. And look at the brain as well. Look at this. I've used the perfect deck for you. Like, look at this, right? Meditate. Sage, meditate. Do what you got to do, gems. You're going to be fine. Connect to your higher self. Especially if there's lower energies, like the tower energies are trying to pull you down. It's like, just breathe, meditate, go for a walk, do what you need to do to get yourself out of your own head. Listen to some music. Put some like, you know, like some, if you like metal music or like really loud music. They're giving me like Blink 182. You're like, is it Blink 182? All the small things. Like, turn the music up, dance, get it out your system, right? Like, drown out the noise. Be careful of your hearing, obviously, but whatever you need to do to kind of shake it off, do it. Yeah, don't get trapped in your own head. 8 of Voices. Who or what is around you that can help you at this time? Who or what is around you that can help you at this time? Your competition. Oh, your enemy is your friend here, Gemini. I tell you what, your enemy is your friend. Disagreements, arguments, conflicts, people who don't understand your perspective are actually benefiting you right now. You know, the naysayers, they're benefiting you because it's like their words are your weapons. It's like challenge accepted. I'm hearing challenge accepted, you know, the meme. It's like, yeah, bona fide. When people try to criticize you, or when people are trying to come at you with their words, right, to criticize you or to argue with you, they're playing into your strength, right? Because you're ruled by Mercury. Again, I've got like a Libra Mercury placement. So air sign Mercury placements, check out your Mercury placement. It's because Mercury is how you talk, how you communicate, how you discuss things. Because I've got Libra Mercury, very, very analytical, right? It's like Legally Blonde. So it's like, I know that if people try and get into an argument with me, I'm going to win on logic because I think logically, I argue logically. So it's like, if you're coming at me with words are my weapon. Like, you're arming me. The more words you throw at me, the more you're arming me. The more I'm going to dismantle what you're saying, right? It's like, yeah, it's almost like no publicity is bad publicity or something like that. But it's like, if people are trying to fight you with words, you'll win. And it's to your benefit. So like, let them do it. Let them criticize you, because because you're so smart, again, you are like as smart as Virgos, right? You're an air sign. You are all about like thoughts and logic and communication. You're literally ruled by Mercury. This is your zone. So it's like, if you're doing something, you thought about it, right? You're not like Aries where you just jump in and do it with a gut instinct. You do something because it makes sense to you. Logically, analytically, it makes sense to do this. So if people are coming in and saying, why are you doing that? Like, you'll be like, this is why I'm doing this, A, B, C, D. That's when you get the bullet points out. So it's like, because it's all there in your head, right? You just have to get it out of that spaghetti brain and down into like a logical argument. Oh my God, this is like the worst thing for me. Again, like a Gemini moon, doing essays at university. I'm talking about this because it could be symbolic, or like it could be something that somebody's experiencing. I absolutely, like, I was in my fucking paradise doing essays at university, especially if I had to construct a logical argument, because it's like having that intelligent placement of that Gemini moon, it's like, and having so much air in my chart, it was like, I am born to do this. Like Elle Woods, right? It's like, I am born to construct and deconstruct arguments. Or like Clueless, sharing Clueless, where she's like making that argument, but she's coming through it from like a really weird angle. It's like I just, like, I had that argument, and I knew all the information. I knew what I had to say. I knew how I was going to say it, but it's like it was just a big jumble in my head. You're getting this stuff like the It's like trying to hold all the information in your head is what I'm feeling for you, Gemini. It's like having all the information, having all the knowledge, but it's like it's all in your head. So how do you get it out of your head into reality? How do you use that magician energy to make your dreams real? And it's like you have to do it, even though because I feel like you have that spiderweb pinball brain, right, where it's like everything all at once, but it's like, how do you actually get it down onto paper? So what I do when I was making an essay, or writing an essay, was I'd go and talk it through with somebody. Again, this could be like, it's like almost like the boardroom, right? It's like having those discussions, battling out, talking about it. You're getting, it's like you have to defend your opinion, which makes you get it out of your brain and out of your mouth in a logical fashion. Because again, Geminis, I don't know if you experience this as well, like sometimes my thoughts try and come out of my mouth all at once, and it comes out like blah, 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 blah. It does not make sense. Like other people cannot follow the argument, because it's like the way your brain can think is not how your mouth can work. Your mouth has to do one word at a time, right? So it's like having to get those thoughts out, like onto paper, onto bullet points, or having to defend each point to the group, is actually helping you to kind of almost, again, like the idea of like a spaghetti brain or knitting. It's like having to get it out into, a way that is like orderly, and you can lay each piece out bit by bit, rather than it just being a big tangle that's all stuck in your head. But it's like it's all there, all the knowledge, everything, like the whole argument, the knowledge, the dream, it's all there. It's just this, like, again, this conflict that you having to explain it to other people in a logical way, you having to slow down, because again, the obstacle is your ability to slow down. Again, I just feel like right? Slowing down, explaining it one step at a time. It's frustrating, because it's like, why can't everybody else keep up? Again, with that kind of like Virgo, Mercury quality. It's like, why doesn't their brain work like my brain? Why can't they see it? Like, I have to. So slowing down, explaining it. Yes, it's the obstacle, but it's actually to your benefit, because this is what can help you. So yes, it's going to be frustrating, but it's what you need to do. It's helping you. It's here for you. What is the advice? Yeah, okay, that's interesting, because I was going to say there's that action, right? There is forward movement. Yes, it's not going as fast as you would like. Yes, it's frustrating. Some people argue emotionally. So this always makes me think of like Cancer Mars placements. Cancer Mars placements are like, they argue, your Mars placement is how you are, like, right, your Mercury placement is how you communicate. So if you're doing an argument, like the way that you use words, right, is this way that you strategize is going to come from your Mercury placement. The way that you deal with other people. Mars placement is what makes you angry, right, and how you deal when you feel angry. So if somebody has like a Cancer Mars placement, they go on the defensive and they go on the attack. It's like attack is the best form of defense, and they do it from an emotional place, not a logical place. So if you're dealing with people with a lot of water in the chart, who are trying to, they may have a lot of like feelings about the situation. So it may be like you're looking at it from this kind of logical perspective where like this is what makes sense, this is intelligent. Like they may be clinging on to something because it feels familiar to them, or that it feels like they have a lot of emotions invested in the old way of doing things or something like that. So it's like it's not, again, I got this feeling of you like leading a team or something. So it's this understanding that yes, not only do you have to explain yourself in a way that makes sense logically for the people who are logical on your team, you also have to appeal to the emotions of the emotional people on the team. Why will this feel better to them? And again, it's going back to that the grass is always greener on the other side. If people feel better working with you, like if you tell people how much you value them and how much you care about them and how, you know, and how happy you are when you work with them, it's like that's going to get to the emotional, you know, the bits, again, looking at things as like a pinball machine, like the bits that light up emotionally are as important as the bits that light up logically. So it's like you bring the love into the situation, bring in the emotions, bring in the love. You know, you're not just doing this because it makes sense and it's logical. You're doing about this because it's important to you, because you care about it, because you've got feelings involved in it. So make sure you bring that to the table to kind of like fully cover all your bases when you're getting the team on board. Again, you've got this kind of like conflict here. So do it with a big open heart. Do it, put your feelings on show, wear your heart on your sleeve. Don't be afraid to cry, right? It's important for other people to see that part of you. And where will this take Gemini? What's the outcome? Okay, that felt like it was on its side. There's that black cat again. So flexibility, inspiration, doing something a new way, right? Taking the novel approach, having a new beginning that you're very excited for, that everybody's excited for, because it's really innovative and creative and there's a lot of potential there. So this is a really exciting new energy of like, let's get into this, let's jump in, let's figure this out, let's get hands on, let's brainstorm ideas. Give me one more on that page of inspiration, please, for Gemini. The outcome, page of inspiration. Anything else on the page of inspiration? No. Anything else on that page of inspiration, please? September, something could be happening in September. It could have happened in September. So something that could have happened or become known to you in September could be like the ball could be rolling on it. Kangaroo, unsettled times, need to plan ahead, right? It's okay, it's fine. You know, chaos is allowed. Look at that throne. I told you, it's like you're going for the crown. Look at your songs. Go in the description box, look at your songs. It's like you're going for the crown. You're going for, I'm getting like 99 points of authority, but my bitch ain't one. Like, you know, the Linkin Park and Jay-Z song? It's like, you're going to be in a position of authority, or there's a person in a position of authority who can help you here because of something that happened in September, or something that was like the spark of an idea in September, or the ball started rolling in September. Somebody could have a September birthday. I've been talking about Virgos. Virgos, I think, are end of August, beginning of September. Or again, Libras, end of September, beginning of October. So somebody could have a September birthday. Kangaroo, unsettled times, need to plan ahead. It's going to be okay. Again, chaos is a ladder, and it's playing into your strength, because if the old way of doing things, if that fixed old way of doing things is suddenly up in the air, right? You being somebody, like the people who don't like change are going to try and cling on to the old way of doing things, but it's still going to change, right? Okay, I won't. Okay, I'll say it just in case. So what they showed me was somebody trying to hold onto a wheel, but the wheel turned and it injured them. And it made me think of, like, you know, if somebody steals a car and people try and hold onto the car, but it kind of like, you know, the person kind of drives faster and drags. And it's just, that could be a warning for anyone. Just be careful about like anything with wheels, like, and trying to hold on to something with wheels, like just let it go. Sorry, that really distracted me. Yeah, that really distracted me. It's like you don't hold don't try and resist change is the message that was coming through. Like, you are an innovator. So if there's a space between, if you imagine the kind of the way they're showing it me is like, imagine a brick wall, right, where all the bricks are kind of like really glued together or cemented together. It's like all of a sudden, like if the tower comes and everything is like loose, it's like you're very good at kind of like getting in the in-between spaces and kind of like rearranging things. Like that's like, it's like you're going to see the opportunity when it comes to kind of jump in and like sliding through the cracks and kind of like get yourself into a better position. Not in a way that's like deceptive or anything like that. It's just in a way that it's playing to your strengths when there's conflict. When the conflict occurs, like you open your heart, bring in the love, and it's going to get you into a really good position. Right, okay. I hope that was helpful to you. I'm going to get you a song just to close out the reading. So anything that Gemini needs to, I nearly said Leo then, so again, there could be a Leo involved. Anything that Leo needs to, why am I saying Leo? Anything that Gemini, who's watching, right, who's the cross-watching Leo? You've been caught out. Gemini, why do I keep saying Leo? Gemini, advice for Leo. If there's a Leo watching or someone with strong Leo placements, advice for Leo. Gravy by Leozi. Let me Google it. Gravy Leozi. I can't pronounce that name, I'm sorry. Is it an Irish name? Babe, I know I've said some words that hurt you before, but hey, you've never caught me running for the door, so stay. There's nothing else that I've been needing more than your face, and I could try and ignore, but I'd be a bore for it. Oh, it's systematic that I panic and turn the organic manic. Oh, no doubt there's magic, but I feel like I'm sinking the Titanic. I just want to shout it out. I mean, I can't be me without you around. Don't mean to be lazy, but you're really my baby. Believe it now. I just want to take out with you on the couch. I was getting that. You had 2 songs before I started the reading and I didn't mention it about like Netflix and chilling, basically. It's like, I don't have to go anywhere fancy. I'd rather be at home with you. Like, you know, like we could just put on music and dance, you know, to our favorite songs and all that kind of thing. So somebody just wants to take out on the couch. They want to Netflix and chill. They're not interested in like, you know, a big night out or anything like that. I'd sound a little crazy, but I love you like gravy. Okay, put all my issues and our boxes down because, hey, we don't need to explore them. Can we build a fort for them? Okay, and then it kind of repeats. I just want you to know I love you like gravy. Oh, that's cute. Maybe a Leon loves you like gravy. Gemini, go and check out the description box down below where your list of songs will be, and there'll be a couple of bonus songs on there which will be your advice song and something that you really need to hear right now, but in the other order. Again, spaghetti brain. Forgive me, it's my Gemini placement. I'm gonna leave it there. 1 hour 20 minutes in. Again, I try and do shorter readings. It doesn't happen. I hope this was helpful to some of you. Again, trust your own instincts and your own higher guidance and your own signs and symbols and guides over anything that you may see from a tarot reader online. You know your own situation best. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was food for thought. Remember to focus on your dreams and your wishes. Keep the vibe high. It's the best way to manifest. Try to avoid getting sucked into your own fears, like that spiral of overthinking. Be aware of the signs that you're doing it and just refocus as best as you can, whatever method works for you, and open your heart. Be the person who comes into the conflict, yes, with logic, but also, you know, appealing to the emotions of others, and it's going to get you far. All right, I'm going to go to take care of yourselves, Gemini. I need to go and give my Gemini moon brain a break. Like, go and have a cup of coffee, go and chill out, and I will see you again soon. Bye, friends.